Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the SirLinksalot podcast. I am your attentive host, Artemis, and today we have a guest who is a social media powerhouse. She's a strategist, a content creator, and she's been in the game since 2012, creating scroll-stopping content and turning them into measurable results for both herself and for brands. So our guest today is Anni Ma, and she has a background spanning in both B2B and B2C marketing. She scaled accounts from 1K to over 10K followers, produced viral videos, and delivered campaigns that not only capture attention, but drive real leads. So her journey actually started with personal projects and has grown to her current role where she represents Otis Global both online and in real life at conferences. So today we're going to be exploring the mistakes that brands always make on social media, why social media isn't right for every single company, and how Anni turns creative storytelling into real business growth. So without further ado, Anni, welcome to the show. One thing that I want to know about you right off the bat, I love a good villain origin story, or like just origin stories in general, right?
Love it.
You've been in the social media game since 2012. How did you first get started? And what was like that turning point that made you realize, wait a minute, I could actually make a career out of this. I'm pretty good at this. Was there like a certain point where that thought came through and then you just took it and ran?
Oh man, so how my origin villain story, you called it, I call it a baddie story. My original baddie story was that I had something to say, something to share, and social media was a platform for me to express my feelings. And yeah, so a lot of the things that I were struggling with were just being a woman in America, being a person of color there, and there were just so many things that were not visible to like struggles, right? So I would take my experience and I would post it online, and then I got a lot of traction from those experience. I got a lot of traction from posting my stories online, and then I was able to convert those stories that I was posting online into in-person event. And my first in-person event was like 500 people came out. The news coverage was incredible. So it was on our city newspaper and also on the TV. So that was really cool.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of marketing, but I didn't realize I was doing marketing. All I really wanted to do was express myself and tell a story, and a lot of people really resonated with like the genuine nature of it.
Right. A lot of people don't realize that the baseline of marketing, no matter what, is always just going to be really good storytelling. So you had a story, you shared it, and a lot of people like that authenticity, which we're going to touch on that a little bit later on, because a lot of brands seem to be fighting for their lives when it comes to maintaining the authenticity. And that's something that I think that most brands could use behind their arsenal, as someone like you who thrives in that environment. So a lot has changed since then. I know you've made quite a few life transitions for yourself. You've moved countries several times, which is crazy. What was your motivation for doing so? Did that kind of piggyback off of your journey to, your career, or was that like a separate thing where you just kind of like, I just need to get out of here, I want to go?
Oh my gosh, when you say life transitions, it's so generous because like I was a waitress, I was an Uber driver, I was an actor, I was a balloon artist, cotton candy artist. Like I really wanted to be an artist, and it was so hard to survive on an artist salary in America. So the visual is like you're under the sea and you're just trying to breathe. And what was the breaking point for me was when I got my car towed for $500. And that was like half my salary, and I was just like, I can't live here anymore. And that's when I met a very smart, handsome man who was already on his way out. He was like selling his car, packing up his stuff, and he's just like, I'm going to Vietnam. I'm going to be a digital nomad, and I'm going to earn American wages while saving on the cost of living in Vietnam. And that's what we called a job arbitrage.
Like, what's the definition of that? Arbitrage?
Yeah, it is where you're earning in one economy and you're living in another. And that gives you like the freedom to build your own career and build your own life. And when I heard him talk about being a digital nomad, I was like, I'm inviting myself. And I did. And now I'm living in Vietnam for 6 years.
6 years. I didn't realize you'd been there that long. That's awesome. So one other thing that I read about your story when I was looking really far into you and becoming a fan of you, and online
I
stuff.
hope you didn't look too far back. I hope you
No.
don't look too far back. There's some crazy stuff out there.
I'm not the CIA, but I like to
Did
make
you
sure
find my
I
feet
thoroughly
photos?
stalk my guests. No, I didn't find anything, fun, but I can remedy that. So
Okay.
that crash out, I was like, okay, that's a valid crash out. That's the most valid crash out ever. The second most valid crash out ever is when you lost 10,000 followers on Instagram. That must have been a disaster. I would have lost it. How did that happen? First of all. Second of all, you clearly recovered very well from it because you're doing fantastic. How do you feel about it now that you have? So take me through the journey of that mess.
Okay, so when I was posting my content online and my stories, I was edging very close to the community guidelines, right?
Right.
I was creating content that was very bold, very loud, and a lot of times people didn't like to hear what I had to say about being a woman in America, and they would report my content over and over. And so after 3 years in, I think Instagram was like, we had it enough with this lady, and then they just banned my account. And I was just so heartbroken because that year my dad also passed away too.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I was weighing out my priorities, which is like family, of course. But because my account wasn't monetized, it wasn't a business account, it's very impossible to get the meta. It's impossible to get a meta person live to talk to you unless you're doing paid ads and you're contributing money to them. And I wasn't making any money. I wasn't spending any on paid ads. So I realized it wasn't worth the challenge. There's one way you can do it, which is to petition the government to force Facebook to look at your account. But this is only if you are monetizing off of it. I wasn't. It was an artist page. So I just like, I'm going to let this go.
Yeah, I totally feel you. I had a similar experience with a client, and this is a client who at the time they had 14 branches in the United States, and they had some pretty hefty ad spend going on behind their account. And even with that, the pages got hacked because someone didn't put in two-factor authentication on their account, but that's beside the point. They got hacked.
I hope it wasn't you.
Oh no. No. I am a professional. Okay.
Yes.
And I was goading them to put the two-factor authentication on their account, and they refused to because, oh, this is too complicated, whatever. Well, lo and behold, somebody got themselves hacked. Someone who had access to the business manager, ownership access to the business manager, who was not myself. And it took a year and a half to get their accounts back, even with their insane amount of ad spend. And we had to have the company's legal department write a letter to Facebook, literally legally petitioning them to give the accounts back or to delete the accounts, which I thought was absolutely insane. So I can't imagine, as like a smaller creator who is just making art and sharing authentically, I can see why Facebook is even more of a nightmare with that. So now are you kind of like accepting that situation, knowing why it was that way, or are you still kind of salty about it? I think I would still be kind of salty about it.
Yeah. You know what I'm more salty about? I'm more salty that I didn't pick myself up fast enough.
Really?
I spent a lot of time feeling very butthurt. I'm like really emotional. So like it hurt me a lot, and I didn't put myself back on camera to share my story anymore. I started putting myself behind brands because like I didn't trust my voice anymore. And I actually loved being behind brands' voices because they had such strong mission, strong values. And I'm like, oh, I could represent them instead when I was feeling pretty weak in my voice.
Right. That makes complete sense. I find that managing the presence for brands is actually a lot more, for me, it's better for my mental health, because if there's, negative comments under your personal videos, I feel like it hits a little bit harder than if it's just like a negative comment underneath a brand. I mean, I care about the Sirlings brand, and if someone writes something rude, which they don't really, I would be torn up about it naturally. But I find that that kind of distance makes it more fulfilling to work sometimes. So I want to know what that transition kind of was like for you. How did this skill or mindset that you've acquired while you were managing your own accounts translate over to when you started doing like community management for other brands, and in turn, how did that translate into your current like content creation role that you have now?
Yeah, I didn't even think of social media marketing as a career at all. When I moved to Vietnam and I started doing digital marketing, I actually started out in SEO first, right? So I was
Really?
getting all the certifications. I took an SEO course online, and there's this concept which is bootstrap your own experience, right? Learn SEO, bootstrap your own experience, make 60K in 1 year. And that was the promise. So then I was applying my learnings, and I tried to get a certification on Google Ads. And then I realized like, oh my gosh, I hate the technical SEO. I can't do it. It's like blowing my brain up. It's not something I love to do. And so
Right.
that's when I went on dynamitejobs.com. It's a fully remote job board.
Are we
And
sponsored? Not sponsored.
oh, that is not sponsored. They need to sponsor me. DC
Run
Circle,
her
give
her
me a
money.
free invite.
Run her her money. Dynamite jobs. Okay, what
Yes,
happened then?
yes. When you look at these job boards, you see like what's possible out there. And I saw that social media is a avenue that I can jump into. And they were hiring for a community manager. So like very baseline, the easiest thing you can do, which is like replying back to messages. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I've done that this whole time. And luckily enough, I got hired by a SaaS company in New York, and they picked me up to do social media, or they picked me up to do community management.
Gotcha. And from there, you went from that community management role into pivoting into content creation. What was that timeline like for you?
Oh, fast, fast, fast. So yeah, it took maybe like a month for onboarding, just understanding how to properly respond to messages in the brand voice. So basic stuff. But when I saw the opportunity that they were leaving behind, I saw that there were so many testimonials, so many UGCs that people were not doing anything with. So what I did was like, I took my favorite UGC, I edited them up so that it's bite-sizable, easy to watch, and like entertaining. And I posted it. Bam. They were only getting like 300 views on Instagram before me. And that first post got 1,700 views. So that's like five times,
Gotcha.
five,
So
six
it shows
times.
that they weren't doing best practices or anything close, and you came in and you were like, no, this is what we need to be doing, took it and ran, and they immediately saw results. That is awesome. I think that's pretty much what every brand hopes for when they hire on someone new.
I think what I realized is that a lot of people, they hold themselves back because they don't want to make mistakes with a company. So they're like, oh, I'm not going to take initiative. I'm just going to wait and have my manager tell me what to do. No, I was just like, we can grow here. Let's do it. And instantly they're like, okay, now you're our content creator forever.
And what they
Yeah.
did was actually give you that kind of trust. And I find that that's kind of an uphill battle when it comes to social. You know that I do a lot of social media work as well. And trying to get clients to trust me has been the biggest hurdle, because I know that a lot of companies in general don't understand social media, and they have been almost burned by some social media people in the past. So the fact that they actually just gave you that ownership and they were like, you clearly know what you're doing here, have fun. That is the best thing, like for just making work fun and making the results more obvious, right?
Yeah, honestly, they didn't give me the trust. I freaking took it. You have to take the trust. You have to take the wheel, because you can't have your clients driving the social media car because they don't know what they're doing. They can't even turn on the engine, right? So no, I'm just be like, hey, sit back and let me show you how I can drive this. And so I just took the trust and just made the content,
You ran
and they
with it.
saw the results. What they really want to see is results. If they're like, hey, oh my gosh, we're getting like thousands of more impressions every month, I'm gonna let you keep doing you, right? But if you're just like, man, I'm scared asking for permission, like they're not gonna trust you.
Right, that makes complete sense. So I kind of want to pivot into the brand side of things on that note, because I feel like there are some tidbits and some nuggets of advice that you can offer for brands that honestly they really do need to hear. So the first thing that I want to know, so you've been in the social media game in some capacity since 2012. Girl, that was a long time ago. So when you first started, it was like a completely different world. What is the biggest difference between how businesses handle social media nowadays and how they did it back then?
Girl, since 2012, everything has changed. Everything was pure chaos. There's like no strategy, no content calendar. Everyone's just like sharing their lives, just testing ideas, building community, just pure raw expression. And you could just post a photo and it would get traction. It would do really well. But now social media, it has become an industry. It's data driven, it's competitive, it's polished. So every post now has a purpose. It drives conversions, engagement, and retention. So the biggest difference is intention. We're in 2012, we're just like playing around, experimenting. In 2025, we're optimizing. And the people that are winning today are the ones that remember the earlier magic of how to experiment, play, tell creative stories while optimizing. So you got to hit that sweet spot of authenticity and strategy.
I feel like that is exactly what the brands need to hear. Has been such a massive shift in general, and I feel like a lot of brands are still kind of living, maybe not quite in 2012, but when I say 2015, 2016, and it's just not working for them. That brings me to something that I really have been itching to ask you about. What are the biggest mistakes that you see brands making on social media today?
The top 3 mistakes that brands make are 1, being selfish, 2, playing it safe, and 3, not optimizing their content assets. The biggest mistake that a brand is making is acting like a brand and not a person. But it's not really their fault. Companies don't have souls, right? And they always want to talk about me. What are my services? What do you want to buy from me? Blah, 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 blah. We got to change gears and talk to the audience. What are you interested? How can I educate you? How can I help you on your journey? What value can I offer you? Gary Vee says this, you got to be punch, jab, right? You have to offer, give value and then sell them. You have to earn the trust and then sell. But a lot of times people will be like, oh, okay, well, clients are like, why are you not talking about our services? Why are you not talking about us? It's very, very selfish. But the best content creators and the best brands know it's all about the customers, the clients. We help you on your journey, and then we offer you services if you would like to work with us. But that creates trust and authenticity and authority. The second mistake is playing it too darn safe. The algorithm rewards boldness. They reward faces, stories, emotion. And if your content doesn't connect with people and make them feel something, then it's not doing anything. It's just noise. Number 3, which is not optimizing your content. You're not repurposing your content and you're not nurturing your content. A lot of brands spend a lot of time creating like amazing videos, testimonials and UGC. They post it once, they move on. They don't like go in there, engage, like, and share and talk to all their followers, right? They're just posting and leaving it there. And it's such a waste of their content asset.
Gotcha. I'm surprised that you stopped at just 3, but you want to give us a little value add so we can loop you in. I feel in general, brands forget that social media is social media, right? So do you often have trouble like explaining that to brands, like the value of what you're actually doing to appeal to real life people and not just whatever the brand's interests are, or are they normally pretty receptive to it?
No, there's a lot of pushback for sure. Yeah, sometimes I post content and they're like, why is this relevant? It has nothing to do with us, right? Like, why are we paying for this? I feel like we're talking more about like the conferences that we go to rather than our services, right? And I'm all like, no, we're talking about community. All of these, like, you're driving more eyeballs to the content because we care about the community. We're a part of the community. And so that's a conversation that you have to be comfortable with sharing with your clients and talking about why that's important. Yeah. And you got to refer back to like your thought leaders. Like I always refer back to Gary Vee because I'm like, hey, you can't disagree with Gary. You know, you can disagree with me, but you can't disagree with Gary Vee.
Fair enough. She was like, you can say what you want about me, but if you say something about Sensei Gary, it's on. Valid. Absolutely valid. Yes. So you also have a philosophy when it comes to social media in general, that it's not even the right place for every brand to be right now. I kind of want to explore a little bit more because I want to know, first of all, why not? And second of all, how can a brand actually know if they need to be working on something else?
100%. Not every brand needs a social media manager. I always say that social media is the diamond necklace, the fancy nails, the designer purse. They look incredible, but they're a flex. And not every brand can afford to maintain this flex. If you're not already generating serious like revenue, minimum $1 million annually, then you shouldn't be working with a social media manager because you're not at that level yet. Your priority shouldn't be creating content. It should be building revenue. So you can create your own content if you want to and grow your own organic following, but it's a huge time suck. And it doesn't work with every person because it could work with an influencer, but if you don't know how to already edit, talk in front of a camera, you're gonna have a hard time. And brands think that they need social media because it will help drive traffic into sales. No, social media is about brand awareness and brand visibility. This is when you already have a ton of cash flow coming in and you have like 10% to put into marketing, and then you can flex. So once your business is stable, then you can afford to play the long game. But if you're not hitting that 1 million point, don't flex, build your foundation first, and then layer on the luxurious things. And all I gotta say is we don't play with no broke boys here.
No broke boys, period. I feel like in general, I feel like that's good advice for social media managers to hear too, because I think that there's like a hurdle that they have to go through when it comes to convincing brands to actually allocate budget towards social. But if they approach it with the mindset of, you might not even be there yet. This is a luxury. Wait until you can afford me. Then I feel like everybody would just get better out of the relationship. Yeah.
Exactly. You have to set the tone that you're expensive. Like you also have to be aware of your time and energy, because a lot of times people from the restaurant industry will hit me up and like, oh, I want videos and stuff, right? And I'm all like, your market cap is really low. You can't afford me. And that's the most generous thing that you can tell them. There's other strategies they can do, like working with influencers and stuff. But if you do bog yourself down with working for a restaurant or a market that has not a lot of like revenue, you could do that as a beginning to your career and grow your portfolio. But once you have grown, you need to be putting yourself in spaces where that you're working with businesses that are generating $1 million plus, because you're making high value content. You deserve to put your energy into that.
Yeah, I'm curious, what industries do you think are the most, so if someone is not just starting out, but they're kind of like at the point where they want to start branching out and they've established their portfolio and they want to start going for some heavy hitters, what industries do you think would be the best to start?
I would just recommend going on dynamitejobs.com because they're always hiring. So if you're just starting out, you really need to just start meeting business owners, right? And that job platform has a lot of entrepreneurial spirits that will help you get into business. So then you can learn about what's out there. And then you can start hitting like the higher paying companies that like don't care if their social media manager gets paid 70 plus K a year, 100 plus K a year, right? So the heavy hitters are like fintech, SaaS, e-commerce, let's go for the top.
If I were one of these brands from one of these aforementioned industries and I came to you and I said, Annie, queen, make me go
Yes,
viral.
honey.
Make me go
Ooh,
viral, queen. What is
ooh.
your first move? What's the move? What are we doing?
Girl, I'm like, bet. I'm gonna bust out my phone and I'm gonna make you do a little dance video. That is my litmus test to see how bad you want to go viral.
She said,
Because
dance
like,
for me.
dance for me, baby. Because yeah, I really love working with brands that are just willing to be goofy and show that side of themselves and be entertaining and be relatable. And that is how you can connect with your audience instantly. Do you think like LinkedIn would blow up if like my CEO started dancing? Like they would love that. But not everyone wants to do a dance video 100% because they don't feel like it connects with their professional brand. So I would actually start out with like, why do you want to go viral, and ask them for their goals, right? So then we can hit their goals. We have to figure out like what your story is, your audience, and your message, and what do you want people to do after you go viral, because a video can go off but then it has no intention. We'll just get the top 3 goals out there and start constructing shareable content and creating a hook with emotion and like a repeatable format that we can start building off of. And virality is all about consistency. You know, how consistent can you test and experiment until something pops off? You know, it's not about just making one video that's a banger and hope that it'll work out. It just happens as a byproduct of a great process.
Right. Just like any great marketing modality. We explain that with SEO a lot. Like if you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing and following best practices, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. But a lot of people do struggle with that. So to hear that you've experienced the same thing with social media is definitely no surprise at all. So you were talking about,
stop struggling and don't work with me.
She said what she said. So you were talking about networking with business owners if people were, first, trying to start off. And that reminded me that I've seen you during my stalking adventures at many, many, many conferences and events where there are businesses present who are all doing their thing and on the same page. And it looks like a lot of fun. I want to know, what's your favorite part about them?
Oh my God. Okay, meeting incredible people and business owners and agency owners and just like getting to talk to them heart to heart about how they got started and how they grew their company to like millions of dollars. Like it blows my mind because they're just real people and they didn't start out at the top. I get to hear like their deep, deep stories of like their struggle. And you just don't imagine that they would have struggle because like, hey, you're super successful. I can't even imagine that like, you were ever homeless at one point. I'm like, it was just, it's so heartwarming because not a lot of times people of that status will share those kind of things.
Right.
And I find them so inspiring because I'm like, I have my own story too of like how hard it was for me. That is legit what makes them do well, is because they had a sad sob story too, and they just got over it. They're like, you know what, this is where I was. This is not where I want to be. So I'm going to get over it. And that's the thing that they clocked about me. It's just like, Annie, you're holding on to your stories and it's keeping you broke. So do you want to be broke or do you want to be successful? I'm like, I'm letting go of my stories so I can be successful like you.
Right. I get why they would say that. I feel like in general, you have to have that kind of intrinsic motivation in order to succeed. And that doesn't come from just waking up one day and just being like, maybe I want to start a business. Maybe I want to make a little bit of money. You have to have something else going on, like something else that's powering you in order to do that. So even if you don't see it, I can imagine that it's there for a lot of people. Like a lot.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me.
I think it's just like understanding that your past is literally dragging you down. Because if you're thinking about the past, it's occupying your brain space, right? Instead, what they occupy their time with is like the present. what can I do right now that's going to move the needle for my business exponentially? So I'm all like, oh, stop giving air to the past and just right now focus growth.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how has it been working out for you so far since you shifted your mindset? Do you feel like you're more like motivated, or do you feel like you're still trying to make that mindset shift?
Oh, I think it's a constant practice of like, oh shoot, I'm thinking about the past now, or oh shoot, I'm having low self-esteem right now. It's just like, oh, just put that away. So it's easier for me to not think about it. Like it used to be like I spend whole days thinking about like my sadness, and now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna choose to be like positive and forward thinking and building my business. So I'm like, oh, this is actually really helpful. I didn't realize you could just stop thinking about it.
Right, just kind of being mindful and living in the moment. It's a lot easier said than done, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people who work in social say that being on social media in general has actually helped them, like with their confidence and their personal development. I want to know if you've had that experience at all. Like, has your career shaped your own confidence and your personal growth? And if so, how?
Oh my gosh, yes. Because you have to be on camera and you have to be on even when you're not ready or you're not feeling like it. You just gotta be presentable. So it's helped me with like being more artistic, being more creative, following other influencers, seeing how other artists are doing, and learning from my community. So even though like I see them, they don't see me, I'm building up my confidence.
And one thing that I want to say is that I feel like even watching your content, I feel like I'm in a better mood. So like seeing it and realizing that you might not always be feeling it, it's really like validating and impressive, because I would have never been able to guess. I'd be like, oh, she's like always on. Like she's always got it together. She's really fun. So that's interesting.
Thank you. I do want to be like raw and honest and share this with you, but like for the first 6 months I was feeling deeply insecure because I told you SEO is not my thing, and I've just been thrusted in the SEO space, and I have to like interview the smartest legendary like influencers in SEO, and I'm just feeling like my knowledge is so small and I have like a insecurity about my intelligence. So I was feeling actually really, really low. But you got to be a professional. You got to push through that, and you got to like turn on. And so you can see the on-screen presence, but everyone goes through it. It's just you never know what's going on in people's minds, right? What they're struggling with. But like it's about putting that face on and just doing it. You can do it.
I feel like that's like the best thing, is just to just get started and to just dive in. I feel like I've learned, well, I do have a background in SEO. I used to work for an agency, and so we were doing literally all modalities. So I do have an SEO background, but I actually learned way more about SEO than just talking to people, not just on the podcast, but also in our Facebook group, the SEO Roundtable, and online and networking with SEOs. And the more that I speak to people, the more I realize that the SEO that I was doing before was not anywhere close to what these folks are doing. Like they are killing it out here, and I'm just absorbing their information, and it's in turn making me also more confident in not just my SEO skills, but in my place in the industry in general, because I see, these are what these people are doing. This is why it works. This is why it can transfer, that sort of like a knowledge grab that I'm looping people in. Hey, just talk to me. Just talk to our viewers. Let's share it with everybody else too. And in turn with social media now as well, and every other modality of marketing we've gotten the pleasure of talking about, I feel like I've been more enriched by our little community here. So that's not an uncommon feeling at all, but the fact that you got over it like in the same way, where you were just kind of like, I'm just going to go out there and just talk to these folks. That's awesome. And it's super fun too.
Yeah, you got to realize your own worth, because no one expects you to come in year one being an expert, but you have to recognize your worth in what you bring in. So for me, I brought in social media expertise. No one here knows how to handle social media, right? But that's the beauty of it. We all have different knowledge and experience to bring to the table, and we're not less than or they're better than. It's just like, how can we just collaborate and work together?
Gotcha. And that's the fun part, the actually collaborating, creating community, and making sure that everybody's always on the same page, which is sometimes more of an uphill battle when you've got like more technical minds and more creative minds. But in general, I find that it's a helping for everybody, because I feel like the technical people that I work with are becoming a little bit more whimsical, just a little bit. So hopefully it's like an even exchange on your end as well with the people that you work with as well. Do they kind of have fun with the social media content now, or are they still kind of warming up to it?
Oh, I love it. Yes, they are warming up to it. But you gotta realize, like, just in their personality, it's not their personality type. And you can always just entertain people with your whimsicalness and like inspire, influence. And I do see people like opening up and wanting to be more expressive. They just need examples and permission and just be like, hey, have fun.
Gotcha. And that must be super fun to see. I see it in a lot of the videos that you make for Otis Global as well, where they'll be a lot more engaged than I would expect. So it seems like the most fun thing ever. And I love that for you. So one final thing that I want to ask you, and I'm not asking for me, okay, but I'm asking for everybody out there who is interested in creating scroll stopping content. What is the one tip that you have for these viewers who are like, I want to make content that makes people just want to keep coming back to my page, that makes them actually stop and watch and observe and listen?
If you want to make scroll stopping content, you got to do one thing, and that's to hook them in. You got to be interesting. You got to be competing with all those other content creators out there. And you need to learn how to create hooks that actually capture your audience in the first 3 seconds. Honestly, it's first 3 milliseconds now on TikTok and Instagram. You gotta instantly make people think, wait, what is this? I gotta see this. I gotta follow through and watch the whole thing. The top 5 hooks to make a banger social media video is visual hook, verbal hook, auditory hook, text hook, and an emotional hook. And that's the biggest takeaway that I can give you guys. I'm gonna give you examples too. Okay, so a visual hook. Let's watch the first like 5 seconds.
Conference, Mads, how much do people pay you for a consultation?
I normally charge $500 an hour.
Oh shoot, are you okay?
So did you see that?
The hook, you mean?
Yes, that was a one visual hook. Yes, you gotta pay attention to these things to capture people's audience attention, so you don't even know that they're following through. This got 104,000 impressions.
Wow, that's crazy.
Number 2, a verbal hook.
Money are we making here?
You can make millions every month. But yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in the iGaming sector.
Okay, what market is making the most money? That's what I'm here for, money.
We're talking about something that people really want to know, right? It's just like, how much money are we making? Cutting to the chase. And then you get to teach people something. In this conversation, we're talking about regulated markets and which one for iGaming and which ones are performing well and which one you should hop in on, and it's educational. All right. Number 3, an auditory hook.
Cannot funnel authority, then you're showing up to a gunfight with a freaking butterknife.
Fire. So
Gotcha.
That's auditory hooks, right? Everywhere since the beginning of it, you can hear like an energy, like you're in a game and you're in a shooter game, and there was that like gun sound, right? I'm like, that's an auditory hook. Number 4, a text hook.
You could steal anyone's domain. Would you steal a celebrity or politician?
Politician.
Ooh, who would it be?
Nigel Farage.
This is a perfect example of like a text hook, right? Just something on top that captures people's attention and makes them like, oh, what is this? 5, the last and final one is an emotional hook.
Oh, touch me again and you're going to find out who I am. Hello, I'm Nicola. I'm head of growth at Apex Media.
He's now with Otis Global, managing director. And that's the conflict of like, there's this big dude wearing shades, like all sorts of scary, and then you touch him, you bump into him. I actually spilled coffee on him. That was like my first time meeting him, and I bumped into him for real. I was not acting, and he got coffee on himself, and that's the conflict, is that he could beat me up.
If only you caught that one on camera, huh?
I have all of the stuff on camera. He was not happy. He was just like, that's it. That's the final take. I'm like, no, bro, I need more. I need more.
The perils of a social media manager. Sometimes our job is dangerous. Thank you for hijacking our accounts and for giving us all of this awesome insight as far as everything goes from branding and social media to your own personal story and your insights on what has helped you in your career and in your personal growth as a social media manager and content creator. If you guys want to know more about Annie, I'm going to be dropping some links below. You guys can follow her on social media as well. And in the meantime, we are going to be preparing for our next fun episode and all of the courses that we're going to be rolling out so you guys can learn more about everything as far as marketing goes, not just about SEO. So until then, we will catch you guys later and we will see you next time. Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, make sure to give us a like, drop a comment, subscribe, so you don't miss out on any future SEO insights. And hey, if you're serious about your rankings, head over to SirLinksalot.co, check out our premium link building services, guides, and free SEO tools. See you next time.